Good morning, wake and takers. It's here. Week one. We made it. We get real football today, guys. We get real NFL football. We get real fantasy points hitting our roster. It's time. I hope you got all the trash talking done. I hope you are ready to lock in. We got a Thursday game tonight. We got a Friday game tomorrow. We got the full slate on Sunday, and then we got our normal Monday night football. And there are just tons and tons and tons of matchups that not just for fantasy, but just for the NFL in general. I'm excited, man. I don't bust out the jersey often, but I got my Calvin Johnson jersey going right now. How can you not right now with how excited you are? Jamie, good morning. Happy Hudson, good morning, guys. Welcome in, welcome in. I hope you guys are ready for your week one excitement, because I am. I'm here. I'm ready. I got the coffee going. I guess I'm gonna take a good sip here. And let's get going. Okay. Got a ton to cover. I got so excited that I kept writing. I kept writing and writing and writing, and I kept adding stuff to the show sheet, and I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop. It's week one. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to look out for. And next week, there's going to be even more to talk about. When we look back on the week one, we see all the things that we're watching. We see all the things that we've been thinking in the offseason. We get to see a very, very small sample, and we get to jump off cliffs over it, and we get to jump to the most ridiculous reactions that we possibly can. And it's just, I'm excited. I'm excited. Jamie, why don't I have a wake and take mug? You blame Jason. Don't blame Jason. He's giving me the link. I just have been a perpetual procrastinator. I need to get on that. I'll take my number one dad mug for now, though, but definitely got to get on the wake and take merch line, so that way I can be official. I can be, finally like the full blown, like a part of this thing. What is going on? What is going on? How are we doing? Let's go ahead and just start jumping right into things here, so that way we can get rolling. Like I said, got a big show today. Going to be talking on some injury news that we're keeping an eye on, a little bit of contract news, which I guess kind of feeds into the injury news. Also got the some situations that I'm keeping an eye on for week one. So things that I didn't quite touch on in the stashes episode a little bit, but just some murky situations, some murky backfields, some murky wide receiver rooms that I want to see how they shake out in week one, so I can try and be get an early jump on the guys in those situations, or maybe bail out in certain situations. And then last, I have some big fantasy matchups that I think are just they're shootouts that aren't maybe at the top of people's list. Like, obviously, we know Buffalo has the highest point total of the week. We know that it could be just an absolute onslaught of fantasy points with some of the top options in the league. But I wanted to talk and touch on some other matchups that I like targeting for fantasy points this year. And then I got a new segment for you. I'm going to be doing it every Thursday. It's going to be the Espresso Shot, and it's going to be a guy that might be lower in the consensus rankings than I would have him. And I'm just going to be trying to give you a nice little jolt before week one, give you some confidence to start these guys. And so we got the first Espresso Shot today. So stick around to the end to catch that. It's going to be exciting. Looking to make that a weekly addition to the show in season. But first, as always, be sure to follow me on X at JOwens_FF. Also on TikTok at JOwensFF. Be sure to follow the Profiler Now page over on X, Profiler_Now. And also over here on YouTube, on the Profiler Now page. Make sure you are subscribed and liking all the videos, so that way we can keep doing what we're doing. And make sure you click that notification button so you know that whenever I go live, whenever the Dynasty Degens go live, whenever anyone on the Profiler Now network goes live, so you can keep up with all of the content that we're putting out every day, every week. There's a lot of shows coming out, and it's gonna be exciting. Let's go ahead and let me take a look here. In the chat, we got sorry if I mispronounced it. Dara, what do you think of this? I have Drake May and Caleb Williams on the bench. Jordan Love, Lawrence, and Stafford are undrafted. I want to pick up Love, but not sure. I don't know if I would do that. I feel like these 3 guys are all kind of in a very similar bucket, but what I see differently between them is I think Drake May and Caleb Williams have rushing upside. I think Jordan Love is we've seen the shift into more of a pocket passer, and I like Caleb Williams' weapons a lot more than I like Jordan Love's weapons, and I like Drake May's rushing upside a lot more than I like Jordan Love's overall outcome. I do think Jordan Love bounces back. I think he's a solid quarterback, but I think you're fine with who you got. If you do drop anyone, it would maybe be Caleb, but at the same time, I like Caleb's weapons a bit more in that situation than I do Jordan Love. I mean, I love Matthew Golden, but Romeo Dobbs compared to Roma Dunze, no thank you. Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet compared to Tucker Kraft. I like Kraft, but he's more of a volume-driven fantasy play for me. I like the talent of Loveland and Kmet more than I like Kraft. So I think I'm sticking with what you got there. You don't got to go too crazy. Got another one here with Chef. It's going to be Trey T and Monty for London. You got Adams, Debo, Keon, DJ Moore, and you have Henry, Genty, Bill, Mixon on IR, Judkins. So you got quite a bit of guys, two running backs that you're waiting on. I don't know if you need Monty there because you do have Henry and Genty as your anchors. And hopefully, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, Bill can emerge as a consistent Monty light option. You also have Bigsby, who's in a very similar situation. So I think I might do that. It is quite a bit to be given up. T could be just as good as London this season, but I think London is much safer. So I lean that way. It also opens you up for an extra slot so you could snag a Godwin or whoever is out there on the waiver wire to maybe stash and hope. But I do think that you could use a little bit of help in that wide receiver room. T and Adams are both solid at the top, but then DJ Moore there too. I don't know. That's a solid team. If it's 10 team, I would say make the move to get the better guy at the top because you need that. You need those big swings. You need those guys that can finish in the top 2-3 of their position. So looking at it, I would say definitely I would do that. It's close, but I would do it. Jamie, very good point. It's not worth clogging a roster spot with a backup QB in single QB leagues. Stash a running back instead. I agree there. If you can, back to Dara, if you can move a Drake May or a Caleb Williams just for anything for someone who didn't touch a QB early, that might be a good move there as well, just to get an extra stash spot there. But thank you guys. Keep the questions rolling. Keep the content rolling in the chat. I love talking with you guys. I love answering your questions. So don't be afraid to put anything out there. Keep it, like I said, keep it rolling, and I'll do my best to get to everything I can. Jumping over to the news, we did get quite a bit of news out of Buffalo in terms of injury reports, which is a little bit surprising because they're the Sunday night game. So the fact that we're getting just the heads up now is great. Love it. Thank you, Buffalo. Everybody should be doing that. A little bit of a shakeup in what we expected though. Khalil Shakir practicing in full. Did not fully expect this. I know that the high ankle sprain occurred early in the offseason, so he had this time to get ready, but I still thought that it would be at least a week 1 miss and maybe back week 2. But the fact that he's practicing in full is promising. I do think that we see a bit of an efficiency dip. I do think we see him get maybe held to a pitch count. But obviously, we're going to have to wait and see. It's a tough matchup, so I don't really feel confident starting Shakir unless I absolutely have to in like a deeper league. So I'm taking more of a wait and see approach with him. And then the Bills, just on top of Khalil Shakir coming back, we also have Keon Coleman dealing with a groin injury, limited participation, not fully missing, but they also went back and signed Gabe Davis. So really putting a wet blanket on my Keon Coleman dreams for this year. I don't think it's obviously I don't think it's a significant hit. I think that Coleman is still very much able to have his year 2 leap. He's very much able to be the guy, the number 1 guy in this offense in the passing game. But this isn't nothing. Bringing in Gabe Davis isn't nothing. They're obviously dealing with a lot of injuries in the receiver room, and Gabe Davis is a very redundant wide receiver skill set compared to Keon Coleman. They're both that bigger bodied, go down the field, make the contested catch, big play type guy. So the fact that Gabe Davis is back in, he's already had the rapport with Josh Allen. They already have that there. So it doesn't scare me, but it does definitely make me temper expectations a little bit. Like, I was Keon Coleman to the moon, year 2 leap in full effect. Now with all this, I'm just kind of like, damn. You're making it really hard. You're making it hard for Keon to get this, but I still believe in Keon. I still think he's going to be good this season. It's just the ADP is definitely a more fair value now compared to an absolute smash that I expected. So we'll see. We'll see week 1. We'll see him get healthier, and we'll see as the season goes on. But that's the Bills right there. A little bit more injury news, this time on the offensive line. Aalijah Vera Tucker for the New York Jets, out for the season. Torn triceps, which, oh my God. Like, I read that, and like I had to do like, ugh. Like, that's bad. That sounds horribly painful. But it's a big blow to this offensive line. Their guards, especially Tucker, were really their anchors. He was a top 12 offensive lineman, according to PFF last season. And he was really like, this offensive line has been rebuilt, and it was really hinging on Tucker being the absolute anchor of this offensive line. So it does scare me a little bit. We've already seen the Jets' expectations of offense cool this offseason, as the offseason has gone on, because we just keep seeing all of these terrible throws coming out of videos in camp and practices with Justin Fields. And it looks gross. It looks ugly. It's the first year of a new regime in New York. So like, there's a lot of growing pains that are going to happen with a new quarterback, new coaching staff, new everything. So I was very, very bullish on the Jets offense as a whole. I was scooping up all the Braylon Allen late. And this, again, it's not a complete like end all be all. Like, the Jets are just cooked guaranteed now, but it does add a lot more risk to this offense. This was very much a huge focal point of the offensive line in Tucker. So I think that we do have to, again, temper expectations with Fields and Garrett, because he's just not going to have as much time to throw. And also Brees and Braylon, because, I mean, these were guys that they're following right up the gut, especially Braylon Allen. I feel like this hits him a little bit more than it does Brees, in terms of just the rushing yards before contact, which is a great stat. Look at Detroit. I mean, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs constantly putting up video game numbers, and that's because they're not being touched until the second level. So definitely something that scares me a little bit, but maybe also an opportunity for Justin Fields to, yes, he might not have the passing numbers again, but pressure up the middle leads to scrambles, which leads to fantasy points. So maybe this does help Justin Fields in terms of fantasy football, where he gets his 1,000-yard rushing season because he's just getting pressure up the gut and running around. We'll see. Again, the offensive line has improved as a whole. I think they were top 10 early on in the offseason on PFF's O-line grades. I think this puts them much more in the middle of the pack. I don't think this is putting them at the bottom, but I think they're much more middle of the pack. So we'll see how they can pull it together right here. So we'll take a look there. Let's see. We got some more comments in the chat. We got Dara again. A-Chain is either going to be RB1 or that calf is going to be bug him. Going to pick up Ollie Gordon too. That is a great move. That is someone that I have been just shouting from the rooftops saying, go get Ollie Gordon, because I think he's got a role even if A-Chan doesn't re-aggravate the calf. I definitely think that that's a good pickup there. And you got here, what are the undrafted late round players you think will be good this year that are going undrafted in most leagues? If you want, go check out the sleeper show that me and Jason did together. That was a really good one. There was also a stashes show that I did on, was it Tuesday? I think that those two shows really kind of covered those guys, but Ollie Gordon is at the top of my list there. Guys like Trey Benson and things like, and guys like that are kind of who I'm looking at to stash just to see. And I'll talk about another situation here in a little bit in terms of guys and situations that I'm keeping an eye on. Good morning, Quincy. How are we doing? Would you start Dobbins over Pollard because of the matchup? If you're looking for a safe floor, I think I stick with Pollard. I think that in a tough matchup, Tennessee is going to have to lean on the run game. I don't know if it's really going to amount to much, but I don't think that Tennessee's really a pushover defense either. I think that they're a pretty strong defense as well. Obviously, I like the Broncos team as a whole better than the Tennessee team. But Dobbins does have that guaranteed split in his profile right now, where it's not just the Dobbins show. It's going to be Dobbins. It's going to be RJ Harvey. We're going to see Bo Nix get some rushes too. So I think I stick with Pollard just for the guaranteed volume. I don't know what we're going to see. I don't know if it's a blowout and all of a sudden they're plugging in RJ Harvey to see what he's got in a week 1 type game. So I stick with Pollard there, but it's a good question. It's a good one because Denver's just a stout defense in general. So we'll see, but I'm going Pollard in that situation there. And then the last little bit of news that I got here, it's in terms of the San Francisco 49ers. Jauan Jennings got paid? Not really. He didn't get any more guaranteed money. He just got an additional $3 million possible in incentives for game times played. So good for him. The holdout worked in terms of getting him the potential for more money. And honestly, I think that this is a good middle ground for a guy like Jauan Jennings, where he's not the stud dude. He performed well. He stepped up big time for the 49ers. And I think that this is a good way for them to reward him. Would have liked to see some guaranteed money in there. But magically, this calf issue disappeared. Gone. Calf issue's fine. He's out there practicing. He's ready to go for a week 1. He wants to hit those incentives. So I think that even if it was like a legitimate tweak of the calf, he's going to play through. He's going to work for it because he wants those extra $3 million that they got him plugged into his contract and incentives. So everyone that bought the dip on the Jauan Jennings, I think you're going to be feeling really good about that in about 1 to 2 weeks time. I still, like I said, I wanted anyone in this offense. I wanted Kittle, CMC, Pearsall, and Jennings. I think all 4 of them are just great. I was going more heavily towards the other 3 because I wasn't sure what this contract situation was going to be. I thought he was going to play, but he could also have just held out, or he could have actually been injured. So I think that it's a great thing for Jennings. I think it's a great thing for San Francisco, who are desperate to have their wide receivers back right now. So that is really all that I had for the news today. I'm going to be taking a quick look over into the situations that I'm keeping an eye on for this weekend. There's a handful of spots where I am looking to just see what the running back touches look like, what the situations that certain players are plugged in. I'll be most likely talking about these 3 topics, at least touching on them on Tuesday after we get all of the data. We get the target share data, we get the snap share data, we get all of that. After we get all of that, I'll be going back and assessing these 3 situations here that I'm taking a look at, just so that way we can see if there is fantasy value to be had. First up is going to be the Washington backfield. I gots to know what Bill's opportunity share is gonna be. All the hype has been on Bill Krosky-Merritt, and I think deservedly so. Yes, I've been kind of trying to bring up Chris Rodriguez just because the coaching staff is talking about it. The unofficial depth chart has him up there. I think it's just a very, very muddy situation, and we don't know if this is a 3-headed monster. We don't know if this is a split backfield 1-2 punch that we're looking at. Obviously, Bill Krosky-Merritt is the only new addition to this backfield that leads to Washington trading Brian Robinson. They had Chris Rodriguez, they had Jeremy McNichols, they had Austin Ekeler all last year, and only because Bill Krosky-Merritt comes in and is doing his thing in camp and the preseason, that they felt confident enough in the room as a whole to ship off Brian Robinson to San Francisco. That leads me to believe that maybe not immediately, I'm hoping immediately, that Bill Krosky-Merritt is the dude, is the number 1, the first and second down back, and hopefully even the goal line back. We will see there. That's where I get a little bit shaky, is I feel like that's what makes me feel like it's going to be a or a three-headed monster situation, because I think Bill's going to get the first and second down work between the 20s. Ekeler is very much in a passing role almost exclusively. And Rodriguez has been with the team for 2 years now. And I think that the coaching staff just has a trust in him, and we might see him be the goal line back. We'll see. Obviously, that's the big thing that I'm keeping an eye on, is who is going to be the goal line back and the short yardage back. If Bill can carve that out for himself and keep the first and second down work in general to himself, that's huge. That's going to make him pay off at what his ADP was and make him a huge just value with crazy upside if anything were to happen to Austin Ekeler. Right now, though, I do think that Ekeler is probably the safest in his role. Only downside is he's 30 years old. He only played 12 games last season, but that was due to 2 concussions. So while it's not great to have 2 concussions in one season, on a positive note, it's not like concussions linger over from last year to this year. Unless your name's Tua, you're not really I feel like people aren't just scared. Tua and Olave are 2 of the guys that I feel like people are scared off of concussion-wise year to year. I don't think we have to worry about that with Ekeler. Obviously, it's a risk every down to get hit in the head and get a concussion, but it's not like it's a lower body injury. It's not like something that he's coming back from and had to rebuild strength in his legs. So I think that that's what keeps his role safe. And when Ekeler, in those 12 games, when he was playing, he was still super efficient. He's still a good player. He hasn't just completely fallen off the cliff. He took a couple steps down on the hill there, but even if he is 30 years old and turning 31 this year, he was still super efficient. He was the number one running back in yards per touch with 6.5 yards per touch, and that was mostly due to his passing game because he was number 1 in yards per reception with 10.5. That's a crazy number for a running back to have with a consistent amount of targets. He had 41 targets on a 12% target share. Again, only 12 games, so it's not like I'm saying that this is craziness. Like it's a crazy big target share, but it was consistent. He only had 77 carries though, and that's why I think no matter what, it's going to be a split. I think he is the safest because he's got the passing role locked. That's Austin Ekeler is the third down back, probably the 2-minute warning back, and that's going to be his role at least for the beginning of the season. But with only getting 77 carries last year, that's a ton of opportunity for a guy like Bill Krosky-Merritt to just grab and hold on to. And that's kind of what I'm banking on. Again, what I'm really looking for is the snap shares and who's getting the goal line work. I want to see who's on the field the most, and I want to see who is getting the ball when they need to trust somebody to get into the end zone. Who is it going to be? That's really what I'm keeping my ears perked for, my eyes peeled for, is the snap shares and the goal line work. If Bill can step out week 1, if Bill can step out week 1 and have a meaningful opportunity share with a close to 50-50 split with Austin Ekeler, and if we can see even 1 or 2 goal line red zone touches from Bill Krosky-Merritt, that immediately shoots him way up in my rankings. That makes me have so much more confidence in the leagues that I do have him in, because I think that that's where he'll find his value. I think he's still going to have RB2 value if he can have that 1-2 punch with Ekeler. If we see a 3-headed monster, I'm very nervous. I think that he can still build into that 1-2 punch later in the season with Bill. But if Rodriguez is heavily factored in the red zone, goal line, short yardage, if it's a 30-30-30 split, that's where the upside really gets capped with Bill Krosky-Merritt. And that's where I'm keeping my eyes peeled for. Next situation that I'm going to be taking a look at is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. I said wide receiver targets. I should have said passing game targets. Who is going to be Danny Dimes' outlet? Who is Dimes going to be looking for? Who is he going to feed? I obviously very much think it's Josh Downs. I've talked about Josh Downs quite a bit this offseason, and he is my favorite of the targets here in Indianapolis. I think him and Tyler Warren fit the area of the field. Like, they operate in the area of the field that Daniel Jones has showed in the past 1 to 2 years, that he is just, he's not looking to push the ball downfield because he is seeing ghosts. He's getting just demolished with the ball in his hands. So I think that those two are the top two targets. But I also am curious because we all said a very similar thing with Sam Darnold. We said he's seeing ghosts. We said that he's just trying to stay safe and getting the ball dumped out there. He's not looking to push the ball down the field. So if we can see a Darnold light version out of Daniel Jones, I think that it very much opens up the possibility for a guy like Michael Pittman, maybe an Alec Pierce, maybe an AD Mitchell. One of those three guys could also have week-to-week fantasy value if Daniel Jones can start to rebuild himself and gain that confidence back that he lost in New York. I think that this is a good team for it. They have the running game to lean on, and so I'm really curious to see who it is. And I mean, taking a look at it, it didn't feel like it last year, but Michael Pittman had a 24% target share with 111 targets. It was a low volume passing game last year with Richardson in there, but 24% target share is nothing to sneeze at. So if Dimes can have that Darnold light revival in Indianapolis, Michael Pittman could be an absolute steal. The only issue with Pittman is he's not the most efficient. He's not really a guy that's going to get it with a 22, 23% target share. He's going to need like a 26, 27% target share. He needs volume to get there. So it's all on Daniel Jones' shoulder with this here. I'm still going with Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, just because they're younger, they're more explosive. They get open better than Michael Pittman does. And they're in that segment of the field that Dimes has shown he's consistently targeting. So that's where my money is on the Downs and Tyler Warren. But I'm still watching. I want to know because Michael Pittman, he's a cheap trade target right now. Some leagues he's even on the waiver wire. So it's not like it's not possible. It's well within the range of outcomes here. Pittman has shown us that he can be a big time volume getter. Obviously, the teams that he was getting the 28% target share when he was on Indianapolis, it was a lot less target competition around him. There wasn't a highly drafted tight end. There wasn't Josh Downs, a slot monster. So it's something to watch. Again, that's all I'm saying here. I'm not saying to make moves on it quite yet, but it's something that I'm watching so I know what Indianapolis passing game looks like. And it might be a low volume again. It might not be worth it to take anyone outside of the top one target, maybe two targets here, but you never know. It's fantasy football. This team is looking for a spark. They're not looking to do the full rebuild quite yet. So it'll be interesting to see. And they're definitely an interesting team for me. I feel like there's such a wide range of outcomes here. They could be bottom of the barrel. They could be in the middle of the pack, and they could even be like top quarter of the league if everything just magically clicks. I don't see that, but it's still possible. Let's see. We got a couple more questions in the chat. We got Franz here. Have a dynasty question. 12-team superflex start 9. Trade Adams, Hampton, and a 26-second for Neighbors PPR league. Oof. I think that's fair. If you have running back depth, that's not bad. But I would pause on trading Hampton at this time. I don't really want to get rid of him. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. I think that he is going to be the dude in that backfield. I think that he is going to be a top dynasty running back. And you might look back on this and be like, shit. But also getting rid of Devontae Adams and only having to get rid of a 26-second isn't bad. But you also got to think of what's the cost you paid for Omarion Hampton. You probably spent a top 3, top 4 pick this year. So that's like the 104, a 26-second, and Devontae Adams from Elite Neighbors. I think that's fair. I would still do it, especially if you have running back depth, or if you're just looking to maybe if you're kind of in an in-between stage and you just took Hampton because the value was there and you're not making the push for this year. I would do that in a heartbeat. The 26-second isn't going to kill you. It's not like you're giving up an extra first on top of Hampton to get him. So you still keep your first and get Neighbors. So it still keeps the rebuild possible. I'd like to maybe see like a third comeback in that, but it's fully dependent on your situation. But it's not a trade that I would say no to immediately. Thank you for that. And then we got Brandon Bryce, final flex in 12-man PPR, Matthew Golden, Travion Henderson, Jordan Mason, or Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet's off my list right now. That's another situation that I kind of want to see shake out before I make any crazy moves with Charbonnet. Like him as a stash, love him as a stash. Jordan Mason, similar situation. I think that he's a solid option, but he's just very much like, we don't even know if he's got a floor right now. We don't know what the split's going to be with him and Jones. We don't know if they're going to lean on the run game early on in the season with JJ McCarthy, or if they're just going to air it out. Still a lot of questions there. So Mason and Sharps off to the side for me, not even really worried about them. You got a really interesting situation here with Matthew Golden and Travion Henderson. I'm going to go Henderson here. I think that Henderson is the ultimate ceiling play. It's your final flex. So you already have your safety locked in with your running backs, with your wide receivers. I think that Henderson has the most upside here. And I think that's what you want in your in your final flex spot there. With that, that's what I'm swinging for. I think Matthew Golden has the potential for a good game. I think that that's going to be a little bit of a lower scoring game than we expect, but that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to say Henderson here for this one. Brandon Bryce, Quincy, didn't mean to skip you there. Let's see. We got need 2 running backs who. Oh wow, you're asking for the full. You're asking for the full lineup. Holy hell. I mean, CMC, HN definitely in there for running back. Chase Brown. Okay, so CMC, Chase Brown, running backs, obviously. Terry and Sutton, and I'd probably go Igbuka over Diggs just because of the injury right now. I don't really want to start Garrett Wilson, so I might start. I mean, you got to start Garrett Wilson week 1 just in case. So Terry Wilson, Sutton, CMC, HN, Chase Brown. Those would be, I think that was 6. That would be my 6 that I'm going for there. Sorry about that for missing you. Moving right along, though, we have another passing game situation that I'm keeping an eye on, because in Houston, who the hell is the second target out there right now? We know Nico Collins is going to get his. We know Nico is alpha of all alphas, especially in Houston. There's no confidence in the run game right now. There is no confidence in the O-line. It's pretty much this offense is going to be leaning heavily on Stroud and Nico Collins connection this year. But I think that they worked with that last season unexpectedly. They had a lot of injuries pop up that caused that to happen, and they had to adjust on the fly. So I think that we see a second target emerge as a very fantasy-friendly, fantasy-viable target. And there's a lot of options out there right now, and a lot of these guys are widely available in leagues. My initial thought was going to be Christian Kirk was just going to be the slot dude who eats up his targets. He's always been around, 23%. He's always been around like a 20% target share kind of guy. He's been a little bit above, a little bit below in the past couple of years, but he's just that steady Eddie secondary receiver in every offense he's been a part of. He's always been a consistent second guy everywhere he's been, and he's been very fantasy relevant in that role. There's no crazy upside there, but it's just a very consistent, especially PPR leagues, very consistent set of points that you can bank on. You know, you're getting 10 to 12, 10 to 15 points. Just bank it every time with Christian Kirk. However, he's dealing with an injury right now. He's got a hamstring injury that just popped up this week, got him on the injury report, him and Braxton Berrios both. And those are 2 slot guys. So it really kind of makes things a little bit interesting to who is going to be the number 2 if Christian Kirk misses week 1 or an extended amount of time. Obviously, we got to keep an eye on the injury report because we don't know what we're going to be seeing here. But we know that if Christian Kirk does play, he's going to be the number 2. He's been a quietly consistent guy in the low wide receiver 2, high wide receiver 3 range. Like I said, you're banking his points every time. You know you're getting your 10 to 13 points. And in 2023, he posted a 2.12 yards per route run and a 2.14 in 2022. That's a good metric right there. That is a that shows, just exemplifies his consistency, because you're usually looking for guys over 2 yards per route run, and he's hitting that. It's not anything where he's got an outrageously high number, but he's just consistent. This injury does bring questions because there's 2 new rookies in there in the Houston wide receiver room that are very, very interesting. If we're looking at a one-for-one slot replacement, the sneaky guy might be Jalen Noel here. Could be a sneaky snack before week 1 if you want to, like, if you have an open spot, you got a guy that you put on IR, or you're just looking for a wide receiver stash. You don't even, like, all the running back stashes are taken. You just want a wide receiver stash. I would look at Jalen Noel because he's more of that slot flanker style that Christian Kirk is. He's been hyped up. He's like, a lot of people love him in the fantasy community, and I think that he would be the one-for-one replacement in this offense for Jalen Noel. The other guy that I'm really looking at is Jaden Higgins, obviously. Both these guys, Iowa State, both these guys drafted 2nd and 3rd round in the NFL draft this year. Jaden Higgins is a little bit more less available in leagues right now. He's 38% rostered in Yahoo, 73% on Sleeper, and 59% on ESPN. So he might not be out there for you to grab. But really with Higgins, he's more of a Nico Collins copy for me. He's more of like he's the second coming of Nico Collins in this offense. So if they want to do post both these guys up on the outside and tell defenses pick which one you're going to put the big guy on, obviously it's going to be Nico. It could open up opportunity for Higgins. We do see a lot of 3 wide receiver sets in Houston. So both Higgins and Noel could be on the field at the same time. But if we're just talking about, like I said, role replacement, Jalen Noel is kind of the guy that I think is going to be a sneaky target getter in this offense if Christian Kirk misses time. And he's available everywhere. 1% in Yahoo and ESPN and 7% rostered in Sleeper. That's a crazy number right there. He is very much someone that you can go scoop and wait and see on here in Houston. And it's even gross to say it, but Dalton Schultz could make a little bit of a return in the gross tight end wasteland that is everything past the top guys. He's always been, no matter like Dallas to Houston, he's always been just a dude who will catch the ball, and that's about it. He won't do anything crazy with it. He's never been this yak monster, never been this efficiency guy. He has always just been, I catch the ball, I fall down. Sometimes it's in the end zone. But at the same time, he's a participant in this offense that is, once again, looking for someone to step up. We didn't see it last year, which leads me to believe that maybe we don't see it again this year. But at the same time, 78% route participation, number 5 amongst all tight ends last year. And he was number 11 in targets with 85 targets, which is a solid number for a floor. And then he was number 3 in unrealized air yards. So they were kind of making him go down the field a little bit more, which isn't really his game. If they kind of learn from that and keep him a little bit closer as an outlet, as like a slot type guy to maybe be a second or third read in their offense, that might work a bit better for him and give him a floor. Houston projects to be pass happy. So again, it's not something where I'm going out and I'm grabbing Dalton Schultz now. But if I see that Houston's passing the ball a lot, if I see that Dalton Schultz is still out there running a lot of routes and getting targets, there's worse things you can do if you completely punt it at tight end. These guys that we drafted late, the Kyle Pittses, the Hunter Henrys, the late round guys that were just full swings, they might not pan out. I mean, we see it every year where guys like a Jonnu Smith comes out of nowhere and just gets peppered with targets. We could see it with Dalton Schultz. So something I'm keeping an eye on. Again, I'm leaning, if I'm stashing anyone right now, it's Jalen Noel. If you drafted Jaden Higgins, hold on to him because he could emerge as a great number 2 option in this Houston offense. These aren't, it's really what we're looking for in terms of these situations. Again, Washington backfield, I want to see opportunity share between the 3 main backs, and I want to see who gets the goal line touches. Indianapolis, I want to see who's getting the targets, who is the primary read. Is it going to be dink and dunk again with Danny Dimes, with Downs and Warren getting the most? Or is it going to be Michael Pittman pushing the ball down the field, or maybe even a Pierce or Mitchell? And then lastly, I got the Houston, who is the second target behind Nico Collins. I don't know. I'm looking, I'm watching. I'm going to make some moves based on it, but nothing crazy right now. Got one last question here before we move on. Lightning McQueen, Kachow. I have Dak and Jordan Love. Should I drop either for Trevor Lawrence? I don't think so. I think they're all very much in the same tier, but I think that Dak and Jordan Love are both more insulated in their fantasy production. I think that Dak is going to have to be chucking the ball all over the place. I love Dak this season. Obviously, tonight's matchup is a little bit tough, but I think that we're going to talk about it in a little bit here. I think that is going to be a shootout. I don't think that it's going to be a stomping like people are projecting. And I like Jordan Love over Trevor Lawrence too. I think that they're all three of those guys are very similar to me, but I like Dak a lot more out of those three. I would keep it how you got it, Dak and Love, and then Trevor Lawrence. I don't like holding two QBs, but if you're going to hold two, I would keep the two that you got right now. Up next, I'm going to be talking about the potential shootouts that we're going to have with some of these matchups. Maybe not the most talked about shootouts, but the ones that are most interesting to me. And you can maybe use this for your DFS takes to kind of target these matchups and go get these guys that might not have as much, that might not be being used in DFS as much. They might have low ownership percentage in their DPS or in their DFS plays. So things like the quick six super slam where you just get to pick six guys. It's really interesting to maybe target some of these lesser talked about shootout potential matchups. But for a little bit more on the quick six super slam, I'm going to pass it over to the podfather to give the breakdown on that new contest.
Pour one out for an incredible best ball season. It was a breakout 2025 for FastDraft, but now the NFL action has started. That means it's DFS season. That's right. You might think, oh, wow, DFS, I can't win DFS. Oh, but you can on FastDraft. You just pick any six guys, and you put them in a handful of booster spots. There's no salary rubric you have to follow. You're not going up against thousands of killer bots in these tournaments. Oh, no. These are regular people grabbing their six favorite plays of the week, and that's all you have to do. And we post the ownership so that you can choose how much chalk you want. There is no drafting. It's called the Quick Six Super Slam. The Quick Six Super Slam is the signature DFS contest at FastDraft. It is changing DFS. We are making DFS great again. So go to fastdraft.app and use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. And let's go start drafting faster.
Oh, yeah. New contest out from FastDraft. Again, you're not actually drafting this time. You're just picking six dudes you like. So you can go full chalk. You can go the guys that are like, you can just go to whatever ranking site you use, PlayerProfiler the best, and go pick your top 1 through 6 flex guys and go full chalk. Or you can kind of get a little bit sneaky with it. You can go and you can listen to this segment right here, my sneaky shootouts, and we can talk about some guys that might not have the highest ownership on FastDraft, but could still have big pop. Again, if you're using FastDraft, I love the DFS. It's one of my favorite DFS formats out there, especially with this new contest, new format. I love it. If you are going to use it, please be sure to use code JOWANSFF over on FastDraft for a $50 deposit match. But let's keep it rolling here. We're 45 minutes in. We're still chugging along, and I still got a lot to get through. So let's go. Shootouts. Again, we know the obvious shootouts. Like we've seen them at the top of the at the top of the points, the over/under point expectations. I did once again put another poll out there on X on the Profiler Now page talking about some of these matchups that we have here. So let's go ahead and actually take a pause from this and pull that up, and let's see what you guys have to say. We got this was yesterday. We had one more day before the NFL season kicks off. We're getting 4 huge rivalry games in prime time for week 1. Which matchup do we think has the most points? We got Dallas and Philly out there, KC and the Chargers, Baltimore and Buffalo with, again, the highest point total, and Minnesota and Chicago out there. Obviously, everyone's just kind of sticking with the chalky pick with Baltimore and Buffalo with their 50.5 point over/under. That's got about 58% of the votes there. And I'm going to let you know my pick was my pick was Dallas at Philadelphia. I think that it is going to be a sneaky shootout. I think that we could see a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover in Philadelphia, and Dallas is going to come out swinging on offense. There's no defense to stop them. So it's going to have to, if Dallas is going to stay in it, if Dallas is going to try to take this game and sneak one away from Philadelphia in Philadelphia, it's going to be on the back of Dak, Lamb, and Pickens. So that's my pick, is Dallas at Philadelphia. Let me know your guys' pick in the chat. If you haven't already voted, there's still 4 hours left to get your vote in there. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Like I said, my pick for a sneaky shootout, my pick for the most points scored in week 1 out of the 4 primetime matchups is Dallas at Philadelphia. I want to start all of the wide receivers in this one. I think that this is a great, especially in this the pick 6 super slam. I think that this is a great game to target. I'm not sure actually if you can do it in the pick 6 super slam. Now that I think about it, that might just be main slate only. I'll have to double check on that. But this is a matchup that I'm looking to start all my wide receivers in. Obviously, you're starting Saquon, you're starting Hurts. Those are no brainers for sure. But I have zero problem leaning into AJ Brown even with the injury. Devonta Smith is someone that I'm looking to start because Trayvon Diggs is back. Still kind of banged up. He's playing, but he's banged up. So it's a situation where he's most likely following AJ Brown, and he's going to be locked on him. So I think AJ Brown can exploit that injury. I think AJ Brown can exploit that matchup, and I think Devonta Smith can clean up pretty well as well. Again, I think this is going to be a straight up shootout. I don't think that it's going to be Saquon getting the ball 35 times and just running clock on Dallas here. I think that we're going to see Dallas come out swinging. We're going to see George Pickens. We're going to see CeeDee Lamb. We're going to see those guys with big point totals. I think that Lamb, Pickens, and AJ Brown all finish as top 15 wide receivers this week. I even got Devonta in there as a top 15 wide receiver because I'm that confident in a shootout here. The new look Dallas defense is not a good look. They're looking to stop the run. You got to think Saquon Barkley running up and down the field on everyone last season might have led to Jerry Jones using that as his rationale for the Micah Parsons trade. Whatever it was, that's their defensive focus, is stopping the run, and love that for fantasy. I love a pass funnel defense with an elite level passing offense and no running game in Dallas to even kind of like temper, like try to keep them balanced. Like we have Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue behind a mediocre offensive line. Like I'm not worried about that. This offense is CeeDee Lamb. This offense is Dak Prescott. This offense is George Pickens. So the question really is, how many points per game is Dallas going to score? I think they get off to a hot start tonight with 28 to 30 plus points in this game. I think it is going to be electric. I don't care. It's Thursday night football. It's week 1 Thursday night football. Nobody's recovering. No one's resting. No one's just beat up right now. They've been building for this. They've been looking for this. Dallas has had this circled on their calendar since schedule drop. You know it. I know it. And again, I think there might be a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover for Philly here. So I am not touching a Dallas running back here. I will be. It's another situation I'm keeping an eye on just to see for future games what the opportunity share is going to look like. But fire up all of your passing options, even Jake Ferguson in the for the tight end room, and I think even Dallas Goedert has potential to be a sneaky start here. I'm not feeling 100% confident on it, but again, in a situation like this where I'm perceiving a shootout, that's what I want. It's a 47 point over under, or 47.5 point over under. I'm taking the over. I don't have a lot of overs on my card for week 1, but this is one of them. I definitely think that we get some fireworks to kick off the season, and I'm here for it. Another game that I think is a little bit more of a sneaky shootout that nobody's really talking about, and that's going to be the Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I love, again, all of the wide receivers in this matchup here. We get to see 2 elite rookie prospects. We might even get to see them go one-on-one against each other with Travis Hunter being on defense. We could see Travis Hunter versus Teteroa McMillan. The T-Mac Hunter debate of who is the better wide receiver. Yes, obviously we know Hunter, probably the more well-rounded player, maybe also the better wide receiver, according to some people out there. We'll see. I'm not sure. My money's on T-Mac for this matchup in particular, just a little bit also because Travis Hunter dealing with the injury, and we also want to see what the offense versus defense split shakes out to, but I'm still very much in on Hunter. I still think that Hunter is a great play this week. And T-Mac is just that's my guy. Like he's my ride or die this season. I'm all aboard the T-Mac train. I think that he is just going to be an absolute target monster. I think that this team is going to be running through the air this year. I think we see Chuba take a little bit of a step back. I think he's going to be a safe volume play, but I really think that the focal point of this offense is shifting to Bryce Young and T-Mac rather than focusing on Chuba Hubbard. So I love all of the wide receivers in this game. I love Travis Hunter. I love BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr. Love starting him in this matchup against a soft Carolina defense. And that, speaking of a soft Carolina defense, I'm confident starting both Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby in this matchup if I need to. Tank is the lower of the two in my list in terms of just season-long rankings as well as this week 1 matchup. But I think that Etienne is going to get started pretty early. It's a good matchup for it to happen. He could do it a little bit on the ground. He could do it a little bit in the air. I think that we're going to see a little bit of a series by series shift in Jacksonville. I think they're going to go kind of like a Detroit style with Montgomery Gibbs, where they kind of trade off to see who is going to emerge as who should be like the 1A to the 1B situation. We could see, obviously, I'm predicting a shootout here. That's why it's in this segment here. That's why I'm talking about it as an exploitable matchup in your DFS, or if you're making like some flex decisions and you have a guy that's in a tougher matchup versus one of these guys here in a juicier matchup, lean the juicier matchup, lean the shootouts that I'm talking about here. So we could see a little bit of a blowout with Jacksonville being at home, taking off, and that could lead to Tank Bigsby getting some clock burning touches here. And that's a little bit, it's in the possibilities, but again, like I don't really see it, but I also think that Bigsby can get enough, and we could see enough touchdowns to where he gets fed to. So again, I'm confident starting Etienne and Chuba in the running back room. Bigsby as a flex, I'm still like, he is very much one of my options in the flex here. They could be more script dependent in the Jacksonville backfield, but Etienne should be safe regardless. And I think Bigsby is the one that's really, you got to watch out for in terms of game script. If we see it be a full blown shootout, we might see more Etienne. But yeah, so Carolina is one of the weakest defenses, as I've said, in the entire league. I don't think that they improved enough to build their way out of that. I still think they're a bottom 6-7 in the entire league. So they're a defense that I'm going to be targeting heavily in this season until they prove me wrong. If they come out and they turn it around and they start locking teams down a little bit, I might change my tone. But right now, until they can show me that they are better, I'm just going to be targeting them because I think that their offense can support these types of games where we get the sneaky shootouts on a weekly basis until they're not so sneaky anymore. So this is one of my favorite games out there this week. It's really not talked about. It's in the 1:00 slate, so it's not going to be talked about too much, but I think that we're going to see some fireworks in Jacksonville. It's going to be fun. Last game that I got for the shootout stuff here, and actually before I do that, it looks like I missed something a little bit earlier. We got the Kyle Siebert. I have Josh Allen. Should I double flex Shakir and Coleman or Myers or Ollie Gordon? Pick two, please. I am still very much hesitant on picking Khalil Shakir to start right now. I don't know what that ankle injury looks like. I want to see if he's fully back. So I would go Coleman and Myers. I think that Myers is still locked in as the number 2 target in Vegas. I know he requested a trade, but I don't know if you saw in his interview earlier this week. He's very much a professional about it. He's not going the drama wide receiver route where he's like, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to do this. He said, I asked for a trade. They said, no, I'm here to play. That's it. So I still have, I was a little bit hesitant on Myers, but after hearing that, it did give me confidence in him that he's not going to try to do anything dramatic and just be over the top about it. He's very much just going to continue to do what he's going to do. If they do trade him later on in the season, they trade him later on in the season. But for week 1, Coleman and Myers will be my 2 pick there. Thank you for the question there. Gary E. BTJ gonna ball. Yes, sir. BTJ is going to absolutely smash week 1 and make people panic a little bit, but I think that I think that he is going to go out there and just go, whoo. And Jacksonville as a whole, I think that we could see a little bit of a taste of what their offense can look like. Obviously, a juicy matchup makes it a little bit easier for them to do that, but I think we're going to see a lot of points come out of Jacksonville this week. But back to my final potential shootout matchup. This one, I know maybe not. This one's not talked about at all. It's not even got a high over-under. It's a 44-point over-under. And I know two quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, second-year guys, new offenses, new regimes, new teams, new weapons, new everything. But I just got a feeling. It just feels like this is going to be two guys going back and forth. And these defenses are good, not great. So I think that we have shootout potential here. I think that Chicago can push they're going to want to come out gunslinging, and I think that Minnesota is going to have to respond. I'm looking to get a lot of these guys in my lineup as well. Obviously, DJ Moore, Justin Jefferson, no-brainer starts right there. I like Odunze. I like TJ Hawkinson. And I like honestly, I like all of the running backs. I do think that Minnesota, if they don't get punched in the mouth right away, they're going to try to lean on the running game a little bit, which gives Mason he's in that Tank Bigsby range for me where he's going to be game script dependent more so, but he's still very viable even as just a second flex in your leagues as a safe floor type play. But really, I'm looking at, if we're looking at big guys, if we're targeting like the ceiling plays, Aaron Jones, Rome Odunze are two guys that I'm going after. TJ Hawkinson, if you drafted him as your tight end, he is going to go get off to a hot start. And I think even Adam Thielen could be a sneaky guy for week one. It's a little tough to tell because he did just come in. It's not like he's got rapport with JJ McCarthy, but he's also one of those guys that he's just a trusty, crafty vet that he's going to go out there, he's going to do his job, he's going to get open, he's going to catch the ball. I don't think that the offense has changed so much from the last time he was there that he can't just jump right back in. So I think that all those guys are interesting picks, but I really like, if you're looking for like a flex one spot or a wide receiver 2 spot in a deeper league, I think Odunze is a great smash pick right now. I think that he is set up to have a great week one. But I really like this. It's another one where I think I have how many overs do I got? I got 1, 2, 3 overs. 3 overs is all that I have. It's all 3 of these games. I have these 3 games that I talked about here are my only 3 overs on the entire slate this week. I think everything else, we see it all the time where some of these guys, they don't get the work in the preseason and they start off slow. So these high over unders, the Buffalo-Baltimore game, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, we might see a little bit of a slower start. That's a battle of 2 juggernauts there. So I'm looking at some of these lesser talked about games with teams that are looking to reimagine their offense. And both these teams are, from Ben Johnson to JJ McCarthy, both these teams are looking to lean on something new this year to really ignite that offense. And I think that we see it here in Chicago, Monday Night Football. I'm taking the over here and I'm starting up all my passing options in this game, as well as Aaron Jones on the Minnesota side. Fire those guys up. You won't be sorry. Those are my targets here for the potential shootouts. Those are my DFS, maybe some matchups again where you go against the grain a little bit, or you try to squeeze some guys in that maybe you wouldn't be looking at normally. Look at Philly, Dallas tonight. Look at Carolina, Jacksonville, and look at Minnesota and Chicago on Monday Night Football. I think that we're going to see a lot of points here, and I'm excited for it. Week 1 is here. Like I said, I got a new segment coming at you guys. It is going to be the Espresso Shot. It is going to be a guy that is maybe not sneaky, but a ceiling play that I think is being undervalued in the weekly rankings. I'm using Fantasy Pros just to get the full wide spectrum of a consensus rankings here to make these decisions. So without further ado, the very first week 1 Espresso Shot from the Wake and Take podcast is going to be Travis Hunter of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, talked about the matchup. Love anyone going up against Carolina right now. I think BTJ eats. I think Travis Hunter eats. And I think T-Mac eats. but Travis Hunter right now is ranked as the wide receiver 36 for week 1 rankings. I think everyone is kind of trying to play it safe with, oh, he's going to be a cornerback, he's going to split, he's going to do this, and I think he will. He'll get some stuff in there. I think he's going to sprinkle in on the defense. But if they stick true to what they said with 80% offensive snaps, I think that's all he needs in a good matchup. I think we're going to see fireworks. We're going to see a laser show in Jacksonville. And I think Travis Hunter is going to be a huge part of that. Right now, everyone's scared because of the rib injury. Everyone's scared because of cornerback snaps. But I'm calling it right now. Travis Hunter, a top 18 wide receiver in week 1. Feel the power. Feel the power. They drafted him so high. He is going to be a focal point of this offense. I don't care what anyone says. BTJ is the only thing on this offense in this passing game. I don't think De'Ami Brown, I don't think Parker Washington are going to be reliable targets. They are going to want to move the ball. They have the golden boy, Trevor Lawrence, that they're trying to make sure his career doesn't just fall off a cliff. They have Brian Thomas. They have a shaky running back room that not even themselves are confident in. Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas, smash, smash, smash in week 1. Jacksonville has the 5th highest projected point total on the season or on the year, on the week 1 slate. And I don't understand why he's down there in wide receiver, the tail end of wide receiver 3 land. You're sitting here telling me that he's a mid-level wide receiver 2 for me this week. Don't be afraid. Start Travis Hunter, get him in there. Done deal. Espresso Shot to give you a nice little jolt before week 1. And we made it, y'all. The week 1 episode of Wake and Take. It's there. It's done. Thank you guys so much for everything today. Thank you guys so much for everything this past month and a half that I have been doing this. We made it. We made it. Oh, can't even get my fingers right. We made it. Good luck in week 1. You guys have been great. Keep the questions rolling. If you want to see more start sit questions, hit me up on Twitter at @jowens_ff. Leave comments on these videos. I will be sure, jump in the chat. I will be sure to try and answer everything that I possibly can for you guys, because you guys are what I do it for. You guys are what fuel me in this, and I appreciate every comment, every chat out there. So thank you guys. Let's have an amazing weekend of football starting tonight with Philadelphia at Dallas. And again, Friday football, Sunday football, Monday football, and we are just rolling all the way through January. Let's get after it. Good luck in week 1. I'll catch you on Tuesday.
From the podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.